Okay, we are on chapter 46, 22 minutes. It's gonna be short, but I feel it's gonna be fucking... You feel me? I feel it's gonna be like that. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm not sure. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna waste no time. Let's go.
Property of Cliffsbane Academy. It is somewhat fitting that the only weapon capable of killing a Dark Wielder is the same thing that drove them to soullessness. Power. Chapter 46. Runes? Xaden asks a few days later, leaning over my shoulder as I sit at the desk in his room, practicing today's assignment, a triangular piece of torture that's supposed to somehow boost hearing. He picks up one of my 5 discarded attempts, burned into hand-sized wooden discs, and I breathe deeply, savoring the scent of soap on his freshly washed skin. A private bathing chamber is definitely one of the perks of sleeping in his room. We're the trial squad, I meant to tell you last night. I take the delicate strand of pearlescent power and bend it into the 3rd shape in the pattern Professor Trissa gave us for homework. Then let it burn brightly in front of me while I gently reach for another. Now that I know what to look for, I see the flow of power clearly before me. Somehow both solid and insubstantial, glowing strands that flex under my touch. Seeing it doesn't make pulling individual strands any easier, though. I meant to tell you a lot last night, too, he said, setting the disc back down on the desk with the others. But once I found you in bed, my mouth was otherwise occupied. My lips curve at the memory as I form the next triangle, this one smaller, and set it within the larger ones floating in front of me. He's been gone more than he's been home, running the weapons from our forge to the front lines near the Stonewater River and filling Takaris' armory. This last trip lasted an extra day when he and Garrick found themselves caught in an attack. Do you want my help? He asks, skimming his mouth down the side of my neck. That is... My breath catches when he reaches the collar of my armor. Not helping. Pity. He kisses the side of my neck, then stands, leaving me to my homework. Good thing, too, since I have class in a few minutes. This is why you left me that book in Navarre, isn't it? I take the next strand and form the circle that should stabilize the shapes within and place it around the rune. That should do it. I wanted you to have a head start, he says, picking up Warwick's journal from where I abandoned it on the desk and thumbing through it. Thank you. This is impossible to read, Xaden mutters, closing the journal and setting it back on the desk before walking to where his uniforms hang next to mine in a large armoire. I grin at the domesticity of it. There's nothing I wouldn't do to keep it just like this between us. My father taught me, I shrug, examining my rune for anything I might have missed. And Dane and I used it as a secret code when we were kids. Never pictured Atos as the old Lucerish type, Xaden notes. Picking up the wooden disc in my left hand, I gently move the buzzing strands of power, pressing them into the disc. Much better than the last 5. You put runes into my daggers, I say, turning in the wooden chair. My lips part and I blatantly ogle Xaden as he pulls his uniform from the armoire, a towel wrapped around his hips. How did I not notice he'd been basically naked behind me this whole time? Such a missed opportunity. Keep looking at me like that and you're not making it to class, he warns, his eyes darkening as he crosses the floor and tosses his clothing on the bed. I force myself to turn away. Brennan warned Xaden that the first time I was late for class, because of my sleeping arrangements, I'd be back in my assigned room. You put an unlocking rune into my dagger, didn't you? I ask, sliding all the discs besides the one I just finished into my pack, ignoring Warwick's journal, which mocks me from the edge of the desk. That's how we got out of the interrogation chamber. A variation of it, yes. Holding the best rune of my attempts, I lift my pack to my shoulders and slip my arms through the straps as I stand, turning to face him. His torso is still gloriously bare, but unfortunately, or fortunately for my schedule, he has pants on. Care to elaborate? To my consternation, he goes for his socks instead of a shirt. You can do the unlocking rune. It's simple enough, he shrugs. I added an element of need into the rune. So you can't walk up to any door and open it just because you want to. But if the dagger's on your body and picks up on the need for a door to unlock, it will. If you'd made it up to the forge at Bezgaeth, it would have opened to your need. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he puts on his boots. I had the key the entire time? My eyebrows rise, as if I didn't already love him. I would have fallen right then. You did. Are you feeling adventurous with questions today? A corner of his mouth quirks. I grip the disc and sink my teeth into my lower lip. The problem with being happy amidst the utter chaos we've caused is that I'm terrified to ask even a single question that might jeopardize it. What's the rune on the stone you keep by the bed? That's what it is, right? Yes, a complicated one at that. He sits up and reaches for the little gray stone, then offers it to me as he stands. There's not a person alive who knows how to replicate this. Colonel Mari was the last. Liam and Sloane's mom. I take the palm-sized stone and study the intricate lines of the rune. It had to have been giant when she tempered it. I assume so. She must have collapsed it to fit when placing them into the stones. Stones? I look up at him. As in more than one? 107, he answers, watching me with expectation. The marked ones. He wants me to ask. What does it do? I rub my thumb over the blackened design. Did. It's a protection rune, but it was only intended to be used once. He runs his hand through his damp hair and pauses. As you get better with runes, you can pull elements into them. Things like strands of hair, or even other full runes for locating things, or protecting them. This particular rune was made to protect someone of my father's bloodline. You. I look up and hand the stone back. You were his only child, right? Zayden nods. Each of the children of the officers were given them before our parents left for the Battle of Eratia. We were told to carry them at all times, and we did, even to the execution. His fingers brush mine as he takes the stone. I damn near stop breathing, keeping my eyes on his. It was designed to counter the signet of the rider whose dragon would kill them. He swallows, but it could only activate when killed by dragon fire, which is the primary method of execution for traitors, I whisper. He nods. I kept it close in my fist. We all did, as we stood there, watching our parents put into lines for execution. And the second they were, his shoulders rise up as he takes a deep breath. Burned heat raced up my arm. The next time I felt anything like that was after threshing. My eyes widen, and I close my hand over his. The rebellion relics? That must be why the swirling marks always start on the marked one's arms. He nods. Our parents knew they'd die one way or another, and the last thing they did was make sure we were protected. I keep it purely for sentimental reasons. Leaning toward me, he kisses my forehead, then turns away, putting the stone on his bedside table. I like it when you ask me questions, he says, leaning over to grab his uniform shirt. Anything else you want to know? It's on the tip of my tongue to question why he didn't tell me about the deal he made with my mother, and ask if it influenced his feelings for me. But then he stands, and my gaze catches on those silver scars on his back, the scars she put there, and I just can't ask. He told me that he's loved me since the first time we kissed, That should be enough. I shouldn't need to know anything more about the deal than what she said to me. Or maybe I don't want to. Not if there's any chance it could shake our relationship. Violence? He tugs his shirt on and turns. Nothing else to ask. I force a smile. Everything all right? 2 lines appear between his brows. Bodhi mentioned that Cat isn't making it easy on you, and you've had a couple of lightning strikes. Bodhi needs to butt out. There's no chance I'm letting Zayden worry about me before heading out for multiple days. Rising up on my toes, I kiss him softly. I'll see you tonight. Disappointment flashes through his eyes right before he cups the back of my neck and slants his mouth over mine for another blissful second, then pulls back. You're close, but you need a directional cue for that one. My rune is great, and I'll ask for help if I need it. I kiss him quickly just because I can, then rush out the door so I can make it to class on time. The second I'm in the hallway, I lift the disc to my ear. Noise rushes in. Footsteps pounding above me, doors closing ahead of me, people shouting beneath me. There's too much input to make any sense of it. I hate it when he's right, I mutter as I skid into class. Naturally, Kat has tempered her rune perfectly when I get there, which makes me almost want to ask for Zayden's help, but he's already gone before I'm done with my classes for the day. We've given you 2 weeks to figure out how to integrate peacefully, and you have yet to do so, much to our disappointment. Devera lectures us the next week from the side of the center mat, Emiterio and one of the flyer professors by her side. The sparring gym is only a fraction of the size of Basgaiath's, fitting 9 mats total, and it's packed with every cadet in Eurasia standing shoulder to shoulder, including the flyers. Until now, we've only been put together for rune lessons in very small increments and mealtimes, which usually end with at least one thrown punch. What the hell do they expect? Rhiannon folds her arms next to me. We've been killing each other for centuries and we're supposed to, what, weave flowers into each other's hair and confess our deepest, darkest secrets all because they gave us a luminary and hiked a cliff? It's a little tense, I agree, holding the conduit in my right hand and rolling my aching shoulder, hoping it will forgive me for daring to sleep on it wrong. I have a lesson with Felix in 2 days, and I'm cramming as much power into the little glass orb as I can. My power's been flaring all too frequently, with the flyers hurling insults every chance they get, insinuating that I dropped Luella to her death instead of Vicia. There's a clear divide in our ranks. A sea of black on my right and a swath of tan on the left, with a wide strip of bare floor between us. More than a dozen cadets wear bruises from the brawl that erupted yesterday in the Great Hall between 3rd Wing and 2 drifts. Yesterday's outburst of violence was absolutely unacceptable, the Flyers professor starts, her auburn braids sliding over her shoulder as she turns her head, addressing all cadets, not just the Flyers. Working together is what's going to make a difference in this war, and it has to start here. She turns her finger on the rider cadets. Good luck with that, Riddick says under his breath. We'll be making significant changes, Devera announces. You will no longer be separated for classes. My stomach pitches, and a mumble of discontent rolls through the gym.
Uh-oh.
Which means, Devera raises her voice, quieting our side of the makeshift formation, you will respect one another as equals. We may be in Eurasia, but as of today, we've decided the Dragon Rider's Codex still applies to every cadet. And as their guests, the flyer professor says, placing a hand on her ample hip, all flyers will abide by it. A disgruntled murmur rolls through their half. Is that clear? Yes, Professor Keandra, they respond in unison. Damn, that's kind of impressive, even if they do sound like infantry. But we acknowledge that we cannot move forward without addressing the hostility among you, Emiterio says, his gaze shifting between the groups. At Basgaiath, we had a method for addressing grievances between cadets. You may ask for a challenge, A sparring match that ends when one of you is unconscious or taps out. Or dies, Arik adds. The flyers collectively gasp, and the majority of us roll our eyes. They wouldn't last a day at Bezgayev.
No, they wouldn't.
Without killing your opponent, Amateraio continues, talking directly at Arik before moving on. For the next 6 hours, every request between cadets of the same year for challenge will be granted. You will address your grievances once on these mats, and then you will put them behind you. They're going to let us beat the shit out of them?
They're about to fight,
Riddick
bro.
asks quietly.
They're about to brawl.
I think so.
Someone's about to call
Sloane whispers
right
in response.
Someone's about to call someone right now.
It's going to be a phenomenal afternoon. Imogen grins, cracking her knuckles. They've been trained to fight Venin, I remind them. I wouldn't underestimate them. When it comes to signets, we can blast them out of the fucking skies, but hand to hand, there's a good chance we're outmatched. You may only challenge one opponent, and each cadet may only be challenged once, Amateraio says, holding up his forefinger and lifting his thick brows. So choose carefully, because tomorrow the rider or flyer you hold contempt for may be off limits. Oh shit, my stomach drops. There's only one reason someone couldn't call a challenge, but they wouldn't. Would they? Challenges between squad mates are forbidden under the Codex, Tavera explains to flyers, then turns to us. And tomorrow, each squad of riders will absorb 1 drift of flyers. Guess they would. Anger flushes my cheeks, and Rhiannon and I exchange a perturbed glance.
They better get along.
Which is mirrored by everyone in our squad, especially Vicia. Note that I said absorb. Tavera stares pointedly at us. You will not be teamed up or partnered with. You will fuse. You will meld. You will unify. This goes against everything we've been taught. Squads are sacred. Squads are family. Squads are born after parapet and forged through the gauntlet, threshing and war games. Squads aren't merged unless they're dissolved due to deaths. And we're the Iron Squad. We do not bend. And we definitely do not blend. And if you don't, Professor Keandra's tone softens as her gaze sweeps over the gym. We will fail when it's time for combat. We will die. We'll take your requests now, Amateraio says, concluding the lecture portion of today's festivities.
Oh!
Lines form for those requesting challenges, and it doesn't surprise me that most of the cute is wearing brown. They have far more reason to hate us than most of us do to hate them.
Yep.
We are the Iron Squad, and will act like it, Rhiannon orders as the last of the line approaches Amateraio. We stick together and travel mat to mat with any challenge leveled on us. All 11 of us agree. The first challenges are called, and I'm not surprised when Traeger names Rhiannon to come to the mat. No doubt he's still pissed about the punch she delivered on the flight field. She wins in less than 5 minutes, and his lip is bleeding again.
Yeah.
The third-year leader from Cat's Drift, the stocky one with the necklace of scars, Bragan, knocks Quinn unconscious with a punch combination that leaves my mouth hanging. Once Imogen is called to the mat by Knave, another third year in Cat's Drift, with short strawberry blonde hair and deep-set eyes, I sense the pattern. This is about me, I say quietly to Rhiannon when Imogen lands a solid kick to the other girl's head. That makes it about us, she responds. Please tell me you're wrapped and wearing your armor. I nod. Imogen and Knave exchange precise, calculated blows until Tavera calls it a draw after they're both bleeding. Catriona Cordella and Violet Sorengale, Tavera announces.
My bad. Camera died. But we're going back in. We're almost done.
Do this. Marin tries to talk Kat out of it, but there's nothing but determination in her narrowed gaze. Of fucking course. I hand the conduit to Rhiannon. Why am I not surprised, Kat? Imogen glares across the mat before turning toward me. It's fine. Predictable, but fine. One by one, I unsheathe all 13 of my weapons and hand them to her.
Oh.
She's got at least 5 inches on you, so watch for her reach,
Fuck.
Rhiannon says quietly.
I got it.
From what I remember, she's quick on the attack and won't leave you much time to react. So commit to your moves, don't hesitate, Imogen adds. All right, I breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth, fighting like hell to steady the nerves that have my stomach doing somersaults. If I'd known this was where today was headed, I would have acted earlier. Maybe laced her breakfast with the family I saw growing on the ridge just beneath the valley. You've got this, Rhiannon says with a nod. You were trained by the best. Satan, I whisper, wishing he was here and not on the border. Me, she nudges me with her elbow and forces a smile. Violet, Sloane moves to Imogen's side. Do me a favor and kick her ass. My mouth tugs into a real half smile, and I nod at her before stepping onto the mat. Guess nothing unites foes like a common enemy, and for some reason, Kat has decided I'm hers. The mat has the same density as the ones at Bezgaeth, the same feel under my boots as I walk to the center, where Kat waits with a malevolent smirk. Scratch her eyes out, Andarna suggests.
Oh.
Really, the eyes are the softest tissue. Just jab your thumbs in there. Andarna, use some common sense. Taryn snaps. The kneecaps are a much easier target. Quiet time now. I slam my shields up, muting Taryn and Andarna as much as possible. No weapons, no signets, Devera says. Match ends when one of you is unconscious or taps out. Kat finishes without taking her eyes off me. We know. Begin. Devera steps off the mat, and I block out the noise around me, giving all my focus to Kat as she takes a familiar fighting stance. I do the same, keeping my body loose and ready for movement. If she's quick on the attack like Imogen said, then I'll need to play defense. This is for Luella. She comes at me with a combination of punches that I block with my forearms, shifting my body so the blows glance off without their full impact. It's easy, like I know the choreography, like it's muscle memory. Her stance adjusts, and I jump back a second before she kicks out. Connecting only with air, her balance falters as I land, and she stumbles sideways. Holy shit. She fights like Zayden. He trained both of us. An excerpt from...
Okay, alright, so... she's gonna have to be creative. She's gonna have to be very creative. Like, she's fighting herself in a way, too. So... Once Kat catches on, that's gonna be tricky for her too, because right now Violet has the upper hand, but as soon as Kat figures it out, it's gonna be equal playing field. Them both gonna know like each other's playbook. So damn, this is gonna be tricky. How long is the next chapter? 13 minutes. Run it. Keep going. Keep going.
Venom,
keep going.
A Compendium by Captain Drake Corella, the Nightwing Drift. Defeating a Dark Wielder begins with knowing where they rank in age and experience. Initiates have reddish rings to their eyes that come and go depending on how often they drain. Asim's eyes fluctuate in degrees of red, and their veins distend when riled. Sages, those responsible for initiates, eyes are permanently red. Their veins perpetually distended toward their temples, expanding with age. Mavens, their generals, have never been captured for examination. Chapter 47. So much for thinking I have the advantage. Her eyes flare like she's come to the same conclusion as we circle each other, and then they narrow in a way that makes my stomach clench. Devera may have set the rules, but something tells me Kat is about to break them. Does it bother you? She asks, lowering her voice as she raises her hands. Knowing he taught me first. That I had him first.
She's jealous!
Not at all, since I have him now. I swallow the sour jealousy that rises with the burn of bile in my throat. Really? She jabs, and I weave. The thought that I know what he tastes like. She throws another combination that I block, then retreats as if it was nothing but a test. How his weight feels above me. I will not vomit on this mat. I refuse. Nope. But shit if that picture doesn't play out in my mind as vividly as a nightmare.
Oh, I shouldn't get her mad.
Her hands on his skin, her mouth on the curling lines of his rebellion relic. Envy and anger roar in my ears, dulling my senses, and I blink rapidly to clear the image, but heat prickles my skin as power rises within me.
Yeah.
She comes at me again, and I throw my forearm up in a block, but she shifts unexpectedly, and when I block for the cross, she nails me with a left hook. Pain explodes in my cheek, right on the bone, and I stagger backward, touching my face reflexively to check for blood, but she hasn't split the skin. I think it does bother you, she says softly as we circle again. Seeing me here, where I belong, sleeping right down the hall. I bet it keeps you awake at night, knowing I'm a better match for him in every way, counting the seconds he tires of your frail excuse for a body and comes back to the woman who knows exactly what he likes and how he likes it. Every word she speaks raises my temperature, but I refuse to take the bait. So I'm ready when she charges forward this time, twisting as she jabs for my face. I manage to counter, landing my blow in the same location she'd hit me. Pain shoots up my wrist, but I'm happy for the sting. Okay. You know what does bother me? I ask as she bounces back on her toes, cursing when the back of her hand swipes at her cheek and comes away bloody. That you're obsessed with fighting over a man. Rage fuels my movements when I go on the attack, but she's ready for every combination I have. Because they're all fucking his.
Yeah.
You going to do something about this? I hear someone ask from outside the haze of anger that's slowing my reaction time. She wouldn't want me to. The answer comes from the edge of the mat as Kat lunges toward me, and I'm too focused on her hands to block her feet when they sweep mine out from under me. I'm airborne for a heartbeat, and then my back hits the mat, rattling my bones and stealing my breath. Kat follows me down, leaning her forearm against my throat and cutting off my air supply as she leans in, her mouth right next to my ear. You seem angry, Violet. Are you now just realizing you're nothing special? That you're just a convenient placeholder he can fuck? Her laugh is low and cool.
She's jealous as fuck. She's mad too.
I know how good he is. I'm the one who taught him that little trick he does with his fingers. You know, the one where he curls, I see red and throw every ounce of my rage into the punch I deliver to the side of her ribs, right where Zayden taught me to stab, and then I draw back and do it again, savoring the dull sound of the crack of her ribs, and the jarring pain that shoots through my hand, along my wrist, and up my arm because I know I just delivered 10 times worse. She cries out, falling off me to her uninjured side, and I gasp, filling my lungs before hurtling my body after hers, rising onto my knees and slamming my fist into the side of her face with a satisfying thud before she can recover. Now she has my mark on both sides. What the fuck is wrong with you? I snap. It's not my fault he doesn't love you. Of course he doesn't. She grabs hold of my arm and rolls with astonishing speed, twisting it behind my back. White-hot agony streaks through me, making my mouth water. He's not capable of loving anyone, she hisses in my ear. You think I'm so petty that I'd attack another woman over love? Yes, I force the word out through gritted teeth.
Isn't that what this
as
is?
She shoves me downward, controlling me by the arm she could easily break, the shoulder she's an inch away from dislocating in this position. The side of my face smashes into the mat. Think I have to think, but fuck. All I can do is feel anger and envy pound through my veins with every heartbeat, strangling logic until I'm nothing but rage. You're too short-sighted for him, she says quietly, like she's afraid of being heard. He thinks ahead, just like me. Gods, do you even know why he didn't kill you that first year? I do, because he trusted me to look ahead with him. She knows about the deal with my mother. He told her. My fingers tingle, and I know I'll lose feeling in the entire limb soon, but that doesn't stop my body from trembling with fury, with rising power. Think. I have to think. She knows all my moves, at least the ones Zayden taught me. Look at where we are. Ryerson House. Her mouth is close enough to my ear that I can feel how hard she's breathing. Who wouldn't love all that power and the case it comes in? But I'm sure as hell not fighting you over a man's affections. I'm going to war with you for a crown. That was the reason we were engaged. It was promised to me, and I'm not giving it to a damned Sorengale who chose to drop the flyer instead of her squad mate. Your entire family deserves to die for what you've put us through. A crown? Engaged? My chest aches because it all makes sense. Two aristocratic families in need of an alliance, and I'm nowhere near nobility. And gods, get some control over your emotions, would you? You're so fucking weak, it's pathetic. Her words are a string of hisses. Fuck her. Rhiannon trained me too. I rear back with my head as hard as I can, cracking cartilage from the sound of it, and the pressure vanishes from my arm and shoulder, freeing me. She yelps, the sound slightly muffled, and I thrust my uninjured elbow backward, hitting the soft tissue of her stomach, just like Reed taught me. Blocking out the pain, I burst up onto my knees, then twist, throwing my weight onto her. She topples backward, and I take advantage of the opening, driving my knee into her sternum, then reaching for her throat.
Ooh.
I'm going to fucking kill her.
Ooh.
How dare she come after me? Like I had a choice in Luella's fall. Like I had anything to do with Zayden's choice to leave her. Fuck that. How dare she come after what's mine? He isn't a crown. He isn't a stepping stool for power. He isn't a tool to elevate her standing. He's everything. Her face turns a mottled shade of red and her eyes widen with panic. Violet! Someone shouts. A woman? A friend, maybe? Power sears my veins and lifts the hair on the back of my neck, rising with the force of a tornado. Her hands tear at mine, but I only squeeze harder. Damn it, Cat! Someone else yells from the opposite side. Tap out! Tap out? I don't want her to submit. I want her to cease existing. I honestly don't care if you kill her, Violence. Zayden's voice filters through the rage.
Oh!
The same unbreakable grip I'm using to choke the life out of my opponent. But you will. I blink as his words clear just enough of the fog for me to feel the slowing of her pulse beneath my hands, but I don't release my grip. Tap! Multiple people shout. I respect whatever choice you make. But I'm not making a choice. There is no choice. There's only the swirling, chaotic vortex of anger and jealousy and... She's fucking cheating! Using mind work! Get out of my head! I scream so loudly my throat burns. Kat glares up at me, and the anger burns even hotter as she tries to work her thumbs beneath my hands, wrath burning in her eyes. She's not going to tap out. She'd rather die than lose to me. I don't want to kill her. I have to let go, but my hands don't get the signal. Then don't. His voice wraps around my mind, and the anger ebbs just enough to let me realize he's here. It's been a week since I've seen him, and he's here. And I love him more than I hate her. I yank my hands from her throat, but I can't make my body move any farther than that. I need your help. Kat wheezes for breath as heavy bootsteps approach from the left. Zayden's arms surround me, lifting me to my feet, and I cling to the love I feel for him with my fucking fingernails to keep from letting the anger consume me. I didn't tap out! Kat croaks as she scurries backward, her neck bearing my handprints. Ryerson! Devera snaps. Why would you interfere in a Because she cheated, Imogen shouts. She used mind work. She's the one who's unhinged! Kat's voice breaks multiple times, and she jabs her finger at me. I'm unhinged? I'll show you unhinged when I kill you for fucking with my head! I lunge against Zayden's arms, but he holds tight. Let me know if you actually mean it. He lifts me off my feet.
He's gonna just, like, go for it.
Catriona! Professor Keandra forces her way through the line of flyers. Tell me you didn't... She glances from Kat to me and back again. Let go, Kat! Fuck her! Pure hatred emanates from every line of Kat's body and only fuels the fire beneath my skin. And fuck her entire family! I hope you all die for what you've done to us! Surging against Zayden's strength does no good. He has me locked down, but power whips through me and releases with a searing crack. Lightning strikes simultaneously with thunder, flashing white across my vision. Cadets scream and the scent of smoke fills the air. Zayden flings a hand outward, and shadows stream toward the wooden bleachers, snuffing out the quickly growing flames.
Yeah.
Bragan, Marin, escort Catriona to her room, Keandra orders. Her gift is limited by distance, I know. Zayden swings me up over his shoulder like I'm a bag of grain. Ryerson! Rhiannon calls out, catching his attention before tossing the conduit to him. He catches it one-handed, nods, then strides for the exit. Every instinct tells me to kick, to thrash, to beat him into letting me go, but I force myself to stay completely still as he carries me out into the hall, past the gaping faces of leadership who line the walls, waiting for the challenge period to be over. It will ease, Zayden promises. And it does. The fog of Kat's power fades with every step, leaving me raw, like the ruins of a beach after a tidal wave recedes. Gods, how am I going to keep this from happening again?
She's good.
Zayden doesn't even break a sweat as he walks past the Great Hall, then surprises me when he doesn't turn into the foyer. Nope, he carries me straight into the assembly chamber, startling the four who are gathered there, including Brennan. And I'm in control of enough of my emotions to feel every ounce of the embarrassment that heats my face, but my body still vibrates with anger. At least it's my own genuine anger this time. What are you? My brother starts. Get out, Zayden demands, crossing the room and climbing the steps of a new dais, where the chairs of the assembly sit behind the long, formal table. All of you, right fucking now. They glance at one another, then shock me to my toes by doing exactly that.
Now you better,
it's
his house.
Parchment from the corner table and leaving, shutting the door behind them on their way out. Zayden tosses the conduit into the massive middle chair before lowering me, my body sliding against his until my toes touch the dais. When our gazes collide, he arches his scarred brow. She got you good. He reaches for my face, turning my head gently to examine my cheek. But I think you got the last word. And how many of those humiliating words did you hear? I don't want the answer, but I need them. All of them. Fuck. An excerpt from Public Note.
Bro, that was good. That was really good. I just can't believe it. Like, they're about to kill. Okay, you know what? I can't believe it. They were about to kill each other. I can't believe that. Just when, like, Zayden just came at the right time, and obviously, like always, saved the situation. That shit was about to get heated. So, oh my god. Okay, we're at chapter 48, and it's Friday, so I gotta wait until Tuesday because Monday's a holiday. So, like the video. I hope you do. Have a nice day. I'm out.